Hey guys, so this is my my rabbitry, and today I will be showing how to feed them. And later on today I will wean these babies. They're 9 weeks old as of today, so I think it's time for them to be weaned. So yeah, so to feed, I have this cup. And I have what are called feed records. Most people usually don't keep feed records, but they look something like this. So I keep a record of all my feed, and then every once in a while I will take weights. See? Right there. Every rabbit has an initial. Like, I have Thumper, who's my old mutt. I have Hellion, my satin, Slopey Bud, or now known as Skellington, and then I have Cleopatra. I'm actually feeding a feed that is 1/2 ounce per pound of rabbit, so because it's kind of more of a high-calorie feed, and you're supposed to feed a lot of hay with it, which I do. So Thumper, she's kind of got a really low appetite. She's really supposed to be 4 pounds, but when I got her, the pet shop told me, yeah, I bought her at a pet shop, they told me to feed, probably like a giant handful of the super, super high calorie food. I mean, it was just pure sugar. And actually that was like the 3rd ingredient, and that's just, it's not okay. So Hellion, she gets 30 ounces or 20 ounces usually, because she has 4 babies, and they're all waiting for food right now. So, and then Skellington up here, he gets usually 4 ounces because he's an 8-pound rabbit, and then I get Cleopatra down here, who gets 5 ounces because she's a 10-pound Californian, which Skellington and Cleopatra are both Californians. So what I do is I look at the previous day, and I think, okay, let's see. Well, let's go to actual today's date. Thumper got 3 yesterday, and I check if she cleaned it up, which, I mean, she mostly did. There's still some left. So since she didn't clean it up, I'll give her 2. And I'll mark that 1 was left over. So I go T-2-1. And then so I look at Hellion's food, which I know is empty because they're sitting there begging. See? It's empty. So she's starting, her babies are about like 3 to 4 pounds each, and I've been feeding her 20 ounces to 30 ounces, but it's just starting to get to be not enough, because it's just like when you have growing rabbits or does that are milking, you need to have 1 ounce per pound instead of a 1/2. So she's, I think, moved up to 25, because Hellion herself is 10 pounds and each baby is 3. And I want to leave enough food for Hellion to actually eat, because the babies seem to get it all before her. So Slopey Butt, or Skellington, he has a little bit of food left over, you could see right here. Maybe 1 ounce. So I'll give him still the same amount. He has very little left. Maybe even like a 1/2 ounce, but whatever. I'll just put 4-1, standing for I fed 4 ounces, there's 1 left over. And Cleopatra, hers is always empty, so I just write 5. She cleans up pretty well. See? So after I write all that down, I follow pretty much these instructions, and I get my feed containers at the dollar store. They're very efficient. That's a little one. And then I have my giant ones up here, and they're Sure Fresh Professional things. They're only $1.08 a piece, because, you know, the dollar store. And then that 8 cents of tax. So to feed, I use a white cup because it's better. It works easier. So yeah. And it's marked by odd ounces. So like here's it's a little bit past 2 ounces. So I have to go between the line of 1 and 3. So I feed this one to my rabbit Thumper. And usually she decides to pay attention to me and turn around. But I think she's interested in something in her cage. So I got Thumper fed now. Now this cup only goes to 10 ounces. So with Hellion and her babies, I'm going to have to fill it 3 times. I mean, it goes to 15 ounces, but it's not accurate after that. Because feed shifts, it settles down more, and then the measurements aren't proper. So that's 10. There's another 10. And here's a 5. Later on, when I'll be weaning these rabbits, I'll measure out about 10 ounces for Hellion, and the rest will go to them. They'll be living in this cage. I just bleached it earlier. So, if you're lucky, I may do a video on how to bleach a cage. So, that's pretty fun. And so, that feed container's out. Oh, also my other type of feed container is this. They have labels. They're really, I use them for special mixes, but right now they're just for storage. That way I don't have to walk back and forth to my feed bags. Just got my records wet, whoops. So, big containers. So these containers were fairly easy, because, I mean, it's just really easy to pour for them. And having a cup to measure it is really easy, because you get the exact amount that you need. Oh, it looks like he wanted food. Fresh food. Look at him. He's just chowing down. See? His head's in the food dish. Another one that may chow down on our food is Cleopatra. So most of my rabbits are females. Actually, all of my babies with Hellion are females. The mutt right there, Thumper, she is a female. Same with this girl down here. Skellington is actually a male. And he's being sold to my friend right now. That's why he's so high up. It's actually her birthday Christmas present. Shh, don't tell her. No, she'll see it later on today. So, Cleopatra kind of has this weird mindset. She's real scared of things touching her. I think she used to have a cage on the very bottom. It was literally inches from the ground, and I think something tried to attack her and just traumatized her. She's never hurt or anything, but we've usually had really good luck with raccoons and stuff. As you can see, she cowers down, and it's kind of a submissive posture. I've never hit her. She doesn't attack, she's just scared. And it's kind of odd. I've never seen that in a rabbit before. So, you know, most rabbits behave differently. So, I just fed all of them. And now it's time for the hay. So I keep my hay in a bag. It's just an old rabbit food bag. I usually buy a different type of hay. I think it's called like field hay or something. But this time all the feed store had was alfalfa, so I don't feed as much since it's more higher calorie. So I try to get some with less dust for the ones that go near the feeders. Also collect manure. So I gotta shovel out the poop that's not contaminated with the hay, because, well, hay doesn't really work too well in manure. It'll actually slow down the process of it going into dirt. There's my Cleopatra again. And then him up there, I usually like to open up the cage because I have to stand on a chair to be able to get to it. So usually when you hold rabbits actually don't need to be held every day. I know some people with pets or some people that are like animal rights activists will not agree with me. But I found that all my rabbits are happy and healthy even when I don't hold them. So it's kind of like, rabbit raising is almost like a religion, and everyone does it differently. You know, and then there's some people that absolutely don't like other people because of the way they raise their rabbits. Like, there's 2 rabbit raisers in my community that I don't like them. I don't like the way they keep their rabbits. I don't like the way they feed their rabbits. I don't like the way they handle their rabbits. But they're well respected, and I'm also a well respected breeder. So I don't want to ruin my reputation by bashing on other breeders. So I'm not really going to say who they are. So this cage I actually built myself. I mean, the cage itself was given to me, and it had a rusted floor. And you can see that here's the what used to be the floor. It's now the roof. There's some good sized holes like that one that I had to patch up. But what I did was I was just sitting there like, man, how am I gonna fix that? That's not good for a rabbit's feet. Then I noticed the top didn't have any rust, but it's a 1x2" gauge wire. So I decided, hey, let's put hardware cloth over it. It gives it a nice sturdy floor. So the thing is the whole cage was made inside out. This frame right here, the metal frame, the legs, was a pain to put on because this wire, the vertical bars are on the outside. Usually they're on the inside, like this. Like you can see right here, the horizontal bars are on the outside, the vertical bars are on the inside. And the whole pattern of the cage is different. See how there's that one? And then there's this one. Just the way the wire is. So, I mean, that was just a pain in the butt to work with. The pan, I don't have the rails on for the pan since it's just resting here. But the pan goes on the hooks and it's really hard to get in and out. And if I were to move the frame lower, that way the pan can get in and out properly, the rabbit would pee and it'd just go right out the side because the pan's like 3 inches underneath the cage. So this cage was it was a joy to work on. That's my friend's birthday Christmas present. And these urine guards, it's just metal flashing that I used, and there's these little bars that hold it in place. Right here, and then there's one behind the rabbit right there. Those are actually a hanger, and I just cut it up and I'm using it to clip that back because I noticed after I put that in that if I were to put weight on here and I could stick my finger underneath, and then when I'd let go, my finger would get cut and it'd get caught, and well, I don't think that would be a really good idea to get a rabbit's foot caught in it. So I built that hay rack myself. That was really fun. I had to detach this door and put it on the inside because it was upside down on the outside. That was really funny. Whoever built this cage is just a nut. Just odd. They're just so weird. I don't know how someone could build a cage like that. Oh, and not only is there a hole cut for the front, but there's a hole cut for the back. I don't know if you could see it, but there's these little fixes right here, here. That's because they had to take a whole new piece of wire and fix up the hole because they ended up cutting 2 holes and they didn't want 2 holes. So I have a hook for the door. That's like the most genius idea you can get with these cages. Another thing I do is I have little name tags. These are just lids off cat food containers because yes, our cat gets spoiled rotten. See? There's Cleopatra's, and the top is their name, the bottom is their ear tattoo number. Thumper doesn't really have a tattoo yet, even though she is 5. I've just never thought of tattooing her, but that's just her identification number in the hutches. See, there's the baby still eating. So, yeah, I can actually show you a rabbit tattoo. I think Helene would be nicest with that, even though she's eating. Oh, and by the way, everyone always wonders, can you scruff a rabbit? Yes, you can. With large rabbits, the best way to grab them and hold them is to scruff them. So I'm gonna put her up on this table. And yes, she'll get a little bit extra feed. No more babies for her to feed too. So this is my Hellion. She's a sweetie pie. She used to be a showmanship rabbit, but I put her in a show and her shoulders are really long. See, there's a tattoo, HESB. Thumper just has one written in with Sharpie usually, because I mean, one time I was at just like the park or something, can't even remember what, and someone picked up my rabbit and just took her. And I said, give it back. And they're like, you have no way to tell that it's yours. And so I almost lost her. So what's interesting is that the only way to prove that a rabbit's yours is if you tattoo it, and you have to have that tattoo written down in your record books. So if someone were to steal a prize doe, maybe like a $200 doe of a rare species, or rare breed, I mean, it's possible that that'll happen, especially at a rabbit show. But usually rabbit shows are pretty good. But it is still possible that someone may steal your rabbit, and you literally have no way of claiming it yours. That's why at the rabbit shows, the only way to have a rabbit in the show, not only is the tattoo for identification, it's to keep them from getting mixed up and stolen. So, like in a rabbit show, they check the tattoo on a rabbit, and they make sure it's clear, readable, and make sure it's a good tattoo. So, here's my Thumper. She doesn't quite like, she likes me to chase her around the cage. She doesn't quite like being taken out. She's fat and she has arthritis. So you can see it's worn off because I haven't taken her anywheres. But at a rabbit meeting, like a 4-H meeting, you want to have that written in. Anywhere you go, if your rabbit leaves your property, or if you take somebody to your house that you don't trust as much, every rabbit needs a tattoo. Especially the babies, or at least a number written in their ear. Like all the babies. Like, let's say this one. Oh, and this is how you pick up friars. They don't care. It's perfectly fine with them. And yeah, my rabbit's trained pretty much to stay in her cage. She likes to explore a little bit, but I can trust her. This one's number 2. It's actually the biggest of the litter. Don't bite me. We actually named them all, even though some of them are going in our freezer. This one's name is actually Musso. She has wide shoulders instead of long. Hellion's shoulders, it's kind of an extension on her neck. This one, if you look from the top view, her shoulders are kind of wide compared to the other ones. And she's just got this weird body type. So, I mean, she'd make an excellent meat rabbit, but it's not following the standard of the breed. And she is just a sweetie pie compared to the rest. So the only way you want to pick up baby rabbits that you may eat is by that. Yeah, I have one of them. It's called number 3. Actually, I kind of named it too. I have Popcorn, which is, I think, number 4. Number 3 is Shadow, or no, Fuzzy, that's right. Can't get them straight. I mean, it's 4 baby rabbits that look exactly the same. And then number 2 is Musso. And then number 1 is Shadow. Number 3 is Fuzzy. So, and yeah, I kind of took the names from our school rabbits, but I don't like the name Shadow and Fuzzy. I'm just using generic rabbit names. If I get a brown rabbit or a rabbit that gets sun bleached, or even one of her rabbits, I'm gonna call it Coco, because I absolutely hate that name. I'm sorry if anybody gets offended by me hating their rabbits' names, but I don't even like the name Thumper, even though, I mean, it fits one of the cutest rabbits. But she just thumped like Thumper on Bambi when I got her, and we were like, Thumper! So she was my original rabbit. I got her 5 years ago at a pet shop. She was 4 weeks old, weaned at 3 weeks. And just think, these guys, they're 9 weeks. Just think about it. You know, she's got dwarf genes. She's a small rabbit, but I bred her at one point, and well, she gave birth, and she actually had a lot of problems, but the babies came out bigger than they did like, when these guys were a week old, they were still smaller than her babies. And, I mean, I compared these guys to another litter of Satins, exactly like them, same age, and they were the right size. So, she's just, I don't know what's with her, so I decided not breeding her. So, another thing that I do every morning is I empty out the pans. I already did it this morning because I wanted to collect manure, but I usually do that before I give them the hay. Oh, this one's always a pain. So, whoa, almost fell. So, this rabbit, notice how she doesn't have a grate on her floor. Her cage is actually kind of messy. I gotta clean it out. That's what happens when you give her hay. She sheds a lot too. So she's actually litter trained, but instead of just going in her pan, she goes in her box too, which I have to clean out, and I bleach it almost every day because I want it clean. Bacteria grows very nicely in wood, which is not very fun. So actually the only cage that I bought here, oh, if this latch would just close, is these two. This hutch. It's actually one rabbit hutch. But you can separate it off into two. It's only for one rabbit, really, because the top doesn't have a grate. But I figured she's litter trained. I've had to lock her in the top before when we go on vacation so she doesn't hurt herself. And it's just, you know, I let her... She's very happy in the top. She has that little shelf to sit on. She's always been a rabbit that likes to climb. And then I put her, Hellion, down in the bottom half when I got her. Hellion was my second rabbit. She's now a year old. Not too old. Actually, no. Still about 11 months. Maybe a year. I don't know. I think she was born in like February or something. Or maybe not, because I think these guys are born in February. I got her in February. These ones are born. This guy and this girl are brother and sister. Sadly, you know, it's inbreeding if I breed them together. So, but they both have kind of a weird disposition. He up there is ticklish. It's just like her. You get on their shoulders and he just like cowers in the corner. But he's not scared. He has a weird reaction to it. She's actually scared. She gets vocal too. She starts whining. But I try my best to calm her down and soothe her. She also has a rabbit tattoo. I think it was tattooed with blue ink though, which I prefer black because blue ink comes off easier. I can't reach in very far, but you can see it. She has scabs in her ear, which I'm kind of concerned about. That's why after touching her, I always sanitize my hands, or I just don't touch any of her rabbits. I've been treating her ears with oils and stuff like that. I'm sanitizing my hands now. So, and once a week to every 2 days, I weigh my rabbits. Oh, and what I'd like to show you guys is, first of all, I want to show you my scale. Which I actually keep in the top half of Thumper's litter pan, or litter area. She can't get into it, and it's actually meant for a storage spot. So I got my scale here. Alright. Turn it on with a cup on it, that way it's already pre-tared. Well, looks like it's dead. That sucks. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, apparently my scale is dead. I was actually just weighing with it 2 days ago, so I'm just wondering why it didn't show me a weight. But I check this cup once a month to make sure the markings aren't off, or if the feed brand changed their recipe a little bit and the feed is a little bit heavier or lighter, which is possible. It's happened. And it's, you know, I put it up to this line and it's exactly 5 ounces. Do not, whatever you do, do not measure it in fluid ounces. I cannot stress that enough. And that is just because fluid ounces are fluid ounces. These are solid ounces. Let's just say it that way. This is actually weighed. You can take one of these cups and to this rim right here, this is from the dollar store, by the way. You get like 2 or 3 of them, or maybe even 4 or 5. I don't even know. Right here is 12 ounces. Right here is 15 ounces at the top rim. So it's just like, it's pretty simple if you really need it and you don't have a scale. Halfway in the middle is 6 ounces, obviously. Halfway again is 3 ounces. Halfway up here is 9 ounces. It's pretty obvious. My cup's actually kind of like sort of old. I don't make a new feed cup every year. So, and this is where I keep it. This is kind of my storage area. I have an apron, I have duct tape. Duct tape is very important out here. Same with super glue. You have no idea how many bottles I've had to super glue together, which is not really the best of ideas. But when your rabbits are breaking them and much faster than you can make the money to buy them, then you kind of have to super glue them. Buy non-toxic glue. This Zap-A-Gap is pretty good stuff. It's, I guess, mostly non-toxic. I don't know, what does it say? It doesn't say anything about it being non-toxic, but people actually use it to glue their hands back together. Or their skin, you know, it's like instead of getting stitches, they use that. I gotta fix this latch. It doesn't work anymore. There we go. So I don't know if you've noticed, but this hutch and this hutch look fairly similar. I actually got this hutch from a friend. That rabbit was a rescue rabbit. And then she died. She was really bad. She had malocclusion, she had mites, everything. And yes, I bleached this really, really strongly. It was half bleach, actually. It's like really strong. It was like a cup of bleach to a cup of water. And this used to be a board right here, and there used to be a wall. As you can see, there's the mount for the wall, which I guess she's chewed half of it off. I'm kind of surprised she's not the one that usually chews on wood. So, I mean, there used to be a wall there, and I see the hinges are going down. Yeah, those hinges are all messed up. They're put on backwards. Actually, both the hutches, both their hinges are put on backwards. So, this is actually hardware cloth, and it's actually thumbtacked in. And I put a stick along here since it just wasn't big enough to reach the edge. And it's got really good support, and I put a rock just to keep it down. She doesn't mind the rock, she won't hurt herself on it. And then I put one of these resting mats on top. And yeah, there's a lot of fur in the corner. I have to clean that out a lot. She's still mid-molt. She has been for about a week. And by the way, yes, this does have urine on it. Hands don't smell too great now, of course, but that's okay. You actually can't get any diseases from a healthy rabbit or even a rabbit with mites. There's only, like, from what I've heard, there's only one disease you can get, and it's some form of AIDS, which is very hard for your rabbit to get. So, see, little babies eating the hay. Love watching those little guys. So, I mean, this video is almost 30 minutes long. If you're still watching, you are just amazing. Love you. So, I should probably go, and because my friend's going to be here sometime soon, and she's going to be helping me make more videos like the one on how to clean a hutch. I'll also be showing the 4-H Willits showmanship. Our 4-H Willits group isn't really teaching that showmanship anymore. It's more the Redwood Valley group. But the problem is that's what we're using at the fair. So everyone really does showmanship differently, but it'll be just how I'm doing it, and I'll show you guys. It's pretty fun, actually. Once you get the hang of it, you know a lot about rabbits, truthfully. So, and I mean, everything's pretty self-explanatory in showmanship. I'll be explaining that while I'm doing the showmanship. Oh, So I have 2 hay racks in this cage, actually. This one was for Helene because the babies kept eating all of her hay. And that one was for Helene for when the babies were smaller and I'd put hay in there and only she could reach it. That way the babies don't eat all of her hay and she actually has a backup supply of food. But now the babies reach it and they eat it all. So, 30 minutes, wow. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later. And it's very nice showing off my rabbits. I actually have another cage that I'm going to be putting over here soon. Probably later on today, so expect to see that. I also have 2 litter pans, which, yay, I could finally litter train him because a litter pan will fit through the door. He used to be in this cage. And since I'm giving that cage to my friend, you know, I decided to put him in the cage that he'll be living in probably for the rest of his life. Look at that cute face. So, later on, I'll be showing different things like Smut. She doesn't really have the greatest disposition. She's got smut along her belly, and she also isn't quite the greatest. So I'll be talking more about smut and different diseases, which none of my rabbits are diseased. They're all absolutely good and clean, and that's why I always bleach the cages between them switching cages or feeders or bottles. I always bleach them. I sanitize my hands most of the time between each rabbit if there's extended exposure, because you never know how many fur mites, diseases, all that kind of stuff that the rabbits don't show symptoms of. Most rabbits, actually, there's at least 1 or 2 diseases that they carry that they're immune to. But the thing is some other rabbits, just not all of them, maybe 1 in 100, are not immune to that disease. And you put them together, and the one that's not immune to it gets sick. So, I mean, I cannot stress it enough. Always bleach your cages, especially the wood cages. For the wire cages, I use 1 part bleach to 7 or 8 parts water. It's kind of estimated. And then for wooden hutches, if there was a rabbit with a disease that I'm absolutely sure of, it's a half of a bleach, or half of mixture of bleach to a half of a mixture of water. And then if it's just a clean rabbit in a wooden hutch, it's usually 1/5 bleach to, like 1 part bleach to 5 parts water. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. And, well, the last thing that I usually do, every other day, I fill up their bottles and I empty them. These are my favorite types of bottles. They're the valve bottles. I always, every morning when I feed, I make sure they work. All the bottles. I've had a rabbit nearly die because their bottle broke, and I was gone on vacation. It's kind of funny, though. Every time I go on vacation for more than a week, and she is home, her bottle jams. And I get a call, and the person taking care of my rabbit says, "She's not eating, what do I do?" And I'm like, "Check her bottle, it's probably jammed. Take a new bottle and put it on and give her some water." And, well, that's usually what it is. So, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. I already said this like 100 times. Look, extra cage. This one also needs to be bleached, so that's the one that I'll be showing during the video. So, see you later. Bye. Cute rabbit shot.